The latest Sith Lord? Yeah, he's really not one for much banter. He will totally banish you on Bane of Death. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zetas Prevails. We're unlocking Bane, guys. Eventually, some people will unlock him sooner than others, but what do you need to get ready for him? Which Omicrons, which Zetas, what modding should he be used with, and what characters is he going to be best with? Let's discuss all of these things. And before we discuss them, let's discuss how awesome my patrons are. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support. I truly appreciate every single one of you. You guys are seriously so awesome. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to support this channel for free, guys, all you got to do is hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, comment, mount the algorithm. You really don't understand how much help that is, how valuable it is. Thank you guys so much for all of your help and support through the years, and it would continue to help, honestly, guys. So thank you so much for mounting the algorithm daily. Now let's talk about Bane. He's insane. Bane the Insane. So what do people think he's going to be doing? I mean, basically they're right. He's a Sith babysitter, so he'll work with Galactic Legends, he'll work with other Sith. So this first slide just shows what he does specifically for Sith Galactic Legends. And so one of them, the first special that he has, just boosts their ultimate charge. You can read it for yourselves, but it boosts them for Sith Eternal Emperor specifically, and then his unique is just for any Sith Sith Galactic Legend that has ultimate charge, which is actually, I mean, Sith Eternal Emperor and Lord Vader are the two that are out currently that could benefit from this, and man, like both of them really like this additional 2% ultimate charge. It's going to get them their ultimate really fast, and honestly, in the case of Lord Vader, this could really ramp his damage like crazy. And of course, Sith Eternal Emperor will get his ult a lot faster, and we'll talk about this. So the other things that he does for other Sith as well, he does it for himself and to other Sith, and he gives them all this stuff, like the extra 75% max health and max protection is so crazy on a Galactic Legend, guys. It really is. But if you think about how it applies to a lot of other characters, like for instance, to Darth Malgus, for instance, like just that extra max health that he can destroy people with consistently without a datacron. I mean, there's a lot of different characters that could really be boosted by Bane, and they're immune to ability block, cooldown increase, healing immunity, stun, turn meter reduction, and when they take a turn, they dispel all of their debuffs, and they regain 35% protection, which is better than Armor or Watt ever did, which was 30% for them. He also, whenever he or his Sith friend dies, then whenever they die, it gives them a huge boost based on how many relic levels they have. You guys can read it yourselves, but it gives them a lot of extra offense, crit damage, potency. It turns them into more of a monster, because they're all kind of monsters, aren't they? They're kind of messed up. Now, which Omicrons? This is one of the closest ones to my heart, because we're all on a crunch, right? So this is a GAC Omicron, and I realize that some people don't want to play in GAC, and so I would say, like, don't bother if you don't want to, but if you want to do well in GAC, I think the must-have is going to be his unique. That's the one where he is giving all the stuff he's giving himself a bunch of stuff, actually. He's giving himself more mastery, more max health, more max protection, and then he's boosting himself. He's basically ramping his damage as people die, and at the start of the turn, I think this is the most important part, guys. At the start of the turn, he takes a bonus turn. Now, they changed it from when he was first released. It was take 100% turn meter. He gets 100% turn meter, and normally that's good enough, but what you really want that bonus turn, because against a character like Jedi Master Kenobi, who you would probably or presumably be targeting with your Galactic Legend friend, then he needs to take that first turn and Kenobi would just stop him. He'd totally block him from being able to gain any turn meter at all, which means Bane would just potentially just get one shot by Cat because he's not fast enough to go before Cat, and he does have an ability that increases cooldowns on his opponents if he it does an AoE and increases cooldowns, which means he'd be able to increase the cooldown on Cat, for instance, and make it, or on Kenobi, and make it so that he can't apply, reduce, I guess, Cat's cooldowns, so then you'd have a chance to maybe even take her out, but at the very least, you'd survive a little bit longer. And so I would say taking that bonus turn, it's huge, and then you also gain all those stat boosts, those stat gains. I think that Omicron, his unique, is probably the best one. Just like Starkiller, I think that's what kind of makes him tick. You want his unique. The other ones, so the other one that I think is pretty good, it's his second special, Essence of Dominance, and this is the one where, okay, instead of increasing their cooldowns by 1 with his AoE, he does that by 2, which is nice. This is a nice little survival boost, honestly, against a lot of these really deadly galactic legends. Of course, it's not going to work against Leia, for instance, but everyone else, sure. And then you can just see then against other non-Jedi Master Kenobi characters, it's also, or galactic legends, against all of them really, except for like Padme, a few specific characters. It removes turn meter from all of them, and all the Sith allies, both him and his buddy, are going to gain turn meter. They reduce max defense and tenacity stacking, so if it's an extended fight, I mean, this is, I think, cooldown 4, so you're probably only going to use it like one time. Maybe twice, but for the most part, that one's going to be really good, increasing the cooldowns, and then also, whenever he does that move, I mean, that's a pretty big shift, reducing their turn meter by 50%, giving yourself 50% turn meter. I mean, that would be nice for any character in any squad. That seems nice, and so maybe you don't like have to have it, but it seems pretty good. The increased cooldowns is really nice. And then the one that I'm like, maybe, but probably not that good, because he's already giving them such a huge boost with his unique. I don't think his special one, Omicron, is that important because it's just giving extra ultimate charge to just Sith Eternal, which I don't even know if he's going to go with Sith Eternal. Initially, it looked like he was supposed to go with Sith Eternal, and that's who it was intended for. And honestly, he does make Sith Eternal an absolute, monster, just a terror. He is so crazy, and he'll remain a terror even if someone clips his fingernails. He is gonna be so strong. But I think he's also gonna make Lord Vader really good, which also in turn makes Lord Vader able to kind of ditch Maul, and Maul could go hang out with Mandalorians. So there's a few different awesome benefits from it. But anyways, I would say that Zeta, or that Omicron, is probably the least necessary. Like, maybe I'll apply that's what I'm definitely going to wait on, though. So I'll probably apply the first 2 and then wait for the next one. Now, the Zetas, so the first one is unique. You have to apply that to apply the Omicron. And honestly, the text is so long, I just decided not to even copy-paste it. You guys, I've copy-pasted most of it, in fact. You guys can go back and read it. But this is kind of why you want Bane. It's his rule of 2 thing. And that is unique. It absolutely is not that interesting unless you put the Zeta on. So have to have that one. In my opinion, if you're going to get Bane, if you don't put that Zeta on, then you don't have Zeta materials available. That is basically the only reason you would want to delay on that one. And then his basic is pretty good. It gives him a lot of versatility in terms of how hard he hits. He's able to do extra damage. He's able to get a guaranteed crit, which is not guaranteed. He does not have a high crit chance, even at high relics. Like, his natural crit chance is not very high. Even though his unique does boost it by 20%, it's still like 35%, something like that, on GG. Now, I don't remember if that was relic 9 or if that was relic 0, but one way or another, he doesn't have super high crit chance, so it's nice to have a guaranteed crit chance, because he also gets things when he's Yeah, so he gets things when he crits. He also they can't revive from his basic, which is nice because, like, say the Eternal Emperor, for instance, calls people to assist, and presumably Bane would be able to just kill someone with his basic and not let them come back. It's a really nice, really versatile tool to be able to have one of his attacks not allow revives. And then and that also takes some functionality away from Watt on a team as well, because if you put Watt there with the weapons tech on a character with, say, the Eternal Emperor or something, then they are not able to revive either. And then honestly, the leadership it's looking like maybe we won't use it. Like he can ramp a lot of damage. Honestly, you might want to do it. We'll wait and see on it. I could be totally wrong. His leadership might end up being really strong, but I would say, even if his leadership ends up pretty strong, like, this is one that you could probably skip. It just makes your light side enemies minus 10 speed. And then, of course, for Jedi, it's minus 20 speed, which is, that is nice, but first off, you have to use his leadership, which seems vastly inferior to all the other options. Like, you will use his leadership when you don't, even sometimes you might not want to use a leadership. Honestly, you might just want to go with no leadership instead of Bane's leadership, because it's pretty punitive. It's like, oh, you got close to dying. Oh, you're dead, actually. I'm going to kill you. It's a total mess. So how do you mod him? So the real question is, how are you going to be using him? Because I feel like if you're going to use him so you could use him as a support for a Galactic Legend, which is kind of the purpose a lot of people have in their minds. But some people don't have those Galactic Legends, or some people are fine with how those Galactic Legends are functioning and want to create a new team, which I can understand and respect. So as a support for a Galactic Legend, or I should just add, like, as someone who is facilitating someone else doing a lot of damage, then you're going to mod him one way, and then it's not that different, honestly. If he's going to be the primary damage dealer, he's probably going to want a little extra juice. So as a support for a Galactic Legend, his primary purpose is to facilitate them, killing your enemies. It's a Galactic Legend. He's not going to do a ton of damage to them compared to what the complete obscene ridiculousness of what a Galactic Legend can do. And so, you just want to mod him for health, because you want to keep him alive. And then he also does one type of damage. One of his specials does damage based off of his max health. So you're going to want a lot of health. You want to keep him alive. He's going to have a lot of defense already, but you just want to max his health, because that's the one that's going to be ramping. That's the one that's going to do a ton of damage. And I'll admit that this is probably the shakiest I am on his kit, because it's like, well, he also looks like he's going to be doing a lot of damage. And so to just mod him for health doesn't really help with that. I will say, though, if he's facilitating a Galactic Legend, to me, probably that's enough. Like, Lord Vader, if he's getting his ultimate often, like he's just constantly popping off with his ultimate, like, to me it seems like you don't necessarily need Bane for damage. Maybe that's wrong, but it seems to me like Lord Vader can take care of himself in that terms. Like, one of his big weaknesses is he just doesn't ramp his damage fast enough, and Bane will help facilitate that. Similar with Sith Eternal Emperor. Sith Eternal Emperor gonna get his ultimate charge really, really quick with Bane, and he's just going to cause immense damage, cause multiple characters to die permanently. And so Bane is like, hey, look, Sith Eternal, like, I killed someone. And Sith Eternal's like, that's cute, kid. Like, I killed the rest. But though, he's also, he's there to facilitate. He also makes it so that Sith Eternal Emperor can ignore taunt, with, or Lord Vader for that matter. Really nice. So, there's just so much that he's going to be doing for a Galactic Legend. I love the idea of him with a Galactic Legend. I also like the idea of him facilitating another character, or surviving with another character to, he can be the primary damage dealer. Because when we talked about his ultimate, when you put his Omicron on, he's going to gain a lot of mastery, and he's going to be able to do a lot more damage. He also ramps his damage over time, and so I think he's going to be a force unto himself. We'll see how he ends up doing. Going to take a lot of experimentation, and obviously this video isn't going to age super well, because I'm going to, well, maybe it will, but I think there's a very big possibility that he just ends up with some Sith that all of us were like, oh, that's interesting, that's cool. But I would say if you want him to do more damage, I would just give him a health or a health set and then an offense set, but then still give him a ton of health, lots and lots of health. Keep him alive for as long as you can, and he's doing damage based off his max health anyways, which seems like that's going to be the biggest damage dealer thing out there. So to me, it seems to make sense. Like, he's also increasing his maximum health to a pretty obscene degree. So who should he go with is probably the last question we're going to ask. And just as briefly as I can, I mean, there's a lot of characters. Definitely a Sith, but then Sith Eternal Emperor seems like the targeted character. And the reason I like it again on Sith Eternal Emperor, not necessarily because of like the specific ultimate charge for his linked and deceived abilities. I like those, but I think the thing that's even more attractive is he's giving Sith Eternal all this stuff. Like, when he wants to link against Jedi Master Kenobi, for instance, he can just skip the pre-taunts that they give with Bane. Bane will be able to give him a link on, like, Kenobi and Cat, both, or Snips and Cat, whatever is going to end up being more optimized. He can link those two immediately and just skip Kenobi or Mace, which is a really nice thing. He's also just he's going to increase all those cooldown. Like, he does a lot of cool stuff that makes Sith Eternal work well, and it also frees up Watt to go with Trench. I know that you guys, some of you hate Trench, some of you disrespect him, and I get that. He's not like a world beater, but man, he is a lot stronger than a lot of people give him credit for, and being able to let Watt loose to finally let him do his thing is kind of a nice functionality. Lord Vader is going to ramp a lot faster potentially, and I really like that idea. Bane is just going to help facilitate that quite a bit. And then, like I said before, he could also make it so that Maul he cuts people loose, guys. Maul's like, oh man, finally, I'm not tethered to this random weirdo I've never met. Instead, as a lifter unit of all things, instead, I can go hang out with my Mandalorian people that I subjugated, and somehow they work well with me and they like me. But he also could work with Savage, has Savage lead, and he could be the main damage dealer. Malgus does a tremendous amount of damage if he's plus 75% max health. That's a crazy amount for Malgus, and as a tank, like, both of those guys are going to do a lot of damage. You could go with Talon. You could probably go with, like, Malak. You could probably go with, like, Darth Vader. I mean, there's as many Sith as are out there. He's probably decent with all of them. I would lean toward one of the new Galactic Legends. Then again, if you do go with Lord Vader or Sith Eternal Emperor, it also means they can't go on defense unless you use his lead, and that becomes problematic and weird, and you can't use his ultimate. So I would say typically he's going to be on offense with a Galactic Legend, but I want to see how he splits with other Sith as well. Very interested, guys. He is a very interesting character. Not interesting to look at, but I think it's really fun, and he's going to be a lot of fun, guys. He's going to... I don't know. This is honestly a character that maybe we didn't care about Bane himself. I know a lot of people are excited, but I didn't ask for Bane specifically, but having a lifter unit that could go with Sith Eternal Emperor, but could also have the versatility of going with a ton of other different Sith, I just think it's super cool, and I'm very excited to see where this all lands us. So, yeah, anyways, guys, let me know what your thoughts are. I'm sure I missed something. Tell me in the comments. Let's talk about it respectfully, and thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.